So we're safe here? Leonard asked, looking worriedly around the small cave his guide had led them to. Javral, the guide, simply nodded. Sitting on a small boulder, his hands were busy carving into a withered log he had found along the way. But we aren't that far from those beastmen, Leonard continued, worry coating his voice. They were not a particularly imposing example of their race, Javral said reassuredly. Most likely they were beastmen too weak to be accepted by any particular Greatfray, hiding in the depths of the forest praying for strength they will never have. Greatfray? Ah, right, I didn't get to that part yet, did I? Well, we will be here a while, so it will help pass the time. Now, the beastmen aren't just a random collection of hideous beasts you can mix and match. Many of them are gathered due to a common, the closest word is belief. These herds of philosophically similar beastmen are known as Greatfrays.
The All-Herd.
They came in a bestial swarm, a baying tide of animal fury that aimed to destroy everything we had ever built. The All-Herd is the largest and some say the oldest of the Greatfrays, said to have existed long before civilization had made its mark on the mortal realms. It is composed of the biggest and strongest of the beastmen, those far closer to their beast side than their disgusting human selves. When in battle, they easily slide into their bestial nature, diving into the pleasant mindset of instinct and bloodlust, only to have that all stripped away when combat is finally over, returning them to the curse of intelligence and thinking. One reason for their supposed superiority, at least in their minds, is the belief that their herd was spawned by a being called the Gore Father, the first beast man, a being said to have carved the first mountains into the realms of beasts, and created the realm gates with its very horns. This belief in their own superiority makes them view all other Greatfrays as lesser. It doesn't matter the size of the other Greatfray they encounter, or the gods it may serve. All are potential recruits. When the All-Herd dominates a conquered Greatfray, it slaughters the weaker members and wrings their herdstones with their guts. As for the strong, they make them one of their own. For if there is one positive thing about these beastmen, it's that if you have the strength, they will treat you with respect.
The Darkwalkers.
1 second, the forest was quiet. The next, it was full of screams. All of them ours. The beastmen of the Darkwalkers' Greatfray are masters of using the forest to their advantage. Ambushes on unsuspecting caravans, attacks behind enemy lines, fear tactics, the sort of things you would usually expect from a more sophisticated enemy. Because of this, they usually don't attack cities, preferring the enemy to come to them. And when they do, the enemy quickly finds themselves surrounded in a savage encirclement. They also lead nomadic lives, moving far and wide to spread fear and terror across the realms. This is helped by their mastery of the realm gates, able to find them the way birds always seem to know which way is north. Because of this, they often work as guides to the forces of chaos, leading potential chaos champions behind enemy lines. Now, as I had previously told you, most beastmen don't follow a particular god, viewing themselves as the true children of chaos and seeing binding themselves to a particular god as a form of weakness. But there are those who do not share this view, seeing their particular god as something to idolize, or simply a means to an end to ensure the dominance of the beastmen.
The Game Spa.
I thought I had seen the worst forms chaos could take, but the sight of those beastmen still haunt my dreams. There is one Greatfray that all other beastmen keep wary of, not necessarily for their power, but for their beliefs. For the Gave spawn worship Morgur, the great devolver and the bringer of mutation. Through their god, they wish to not just thin, but destroy the barrier between the realm of chaos and the mortal realms, turning both into a seething mass of chaotic anarchy. Only then will Morgur become the most powerful of the chaos gods, ruling over the ever-changing mass that was once reality. These Gave spawn utterly worship mutation in all of its forms, and out of all the beastmen Greatfrays, you will find the most number of chaotic spawn within this one. They will most likely be led by a Bra shaman, for they are the interpreters of their twisted god's will, following his wishes to go to the most powerful magical points in the mortal realms. Their goal there is to shatter its magic and tie chaos and the mortal realms closer together. They can do this because of their brave shaman leader. The very presence of this creature unmakes any magic near it with its unraveling aura. And if their leader is ever slain, there is a chance that their god will bless it, turning it into a chaos spawn. The sight of this representation of Morgur's might inspires nearby beastmen to an even more deadly frenzy, as they try to emulate the spawn's wildly chaotic nature.
The Skull Phrase.
Look upon these beastmen, my fellow bloodbound. Truly the purity of their bloodlust is magnificent. I want you to imagine orderly beastmen marching in formation with their blades held high in salute. I know, it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But those beastmen that worship Khorne are instilled with a martial ferocity that tempers their usually rampant anarchy. Khorne convincing them, somehow, that it is a much more effective way to slaughter their enemies. Of course, this discipline does not last long. As the killing continues and the blood continues to flow, the built-up bloodlust explodes into an orgy of violence, turning the disciplined ranks into a berserker horde of powerful beasts. One of the most feared of the Skull Frays is the 8-horned Skull Fray. They worship Khorne as the brass bull that gores the realms. They are known to eat the flesh of their enemies to try to gain their strength. The only thing they don't eat is the brain, for there is no strength in such a pathetic organ. But you said they march in rows and are disciplined. That speaks of tactics and planning, doesn't it? Isn't that usually done, in the brain? Leonard, don't try to look for logic in the actions of chaos. That way leads to madness.
The Twist Phrase.
When it became obvious who they were after, we crippled our mages and ran. Call us cowards if you wish, but at least we're alive. Twist Frays are those herds of beastmen who follow the chaos god Tzeentch. Now, although they enjoy ruining the constructions of order as much as the next group of beastmen, what they truly desire is magic. They are obsessive devourers of the arcane. They can smell it in the air and head out to find encircled artifacts and tomes to feed their herd stone. The herd stone consuming the magic in those objects and becoming larger and more twisted. The powerful magic of the Hearthstone even attracts mortals of other races, usually half-mad scholars already partially broken by forbidden knowledge. The Twist Frays don't kill these scholars, but allow them to gather near the Hearthstone, for the Twist Frays know that the power of Tzeentch will transform them into more pleasing shapes, eventually turning those mortals into more beastmen and spreading more Twist Fray herds across the realms. The most feared of the Twist Frays is Oknar of Hysh. Back before the Age of Myth, there were a tribe of beastmen who desired enlightenment. They embraced their human half and suppressed their more bestial nature, even living in peace with the surrounding tribes of elves, Duerden, and humans. That's amazing. I would think something like that is impossible. You, sadly, weren't the only one. When Sigmar came and brought civilization to the mortal realms, those same tribes, who had lived peacefully with the beastmen for generations, turned against them, aiming to wipe them out. Near the end of the Age of Myth and the beginning of the Age of Chaos, there was only one beastman of the Oknar left. It called out to Tzeentch to help it avenge its kin, and Tzeentch listened. Tzeentch cast a change curse across all the cities that had betrayed them, turning all the mortal races there into bestial savages. Those that survived the change and the violence that followed joined the Oknar, becoming the first Twist Fray herd,
The Rot Phrase.
The first thing we noticed was the stench, an odious air that not only assaulted our senses, but seemed to stain our very souls. The Rot Phrase are those beastmen who, as you can probably guess, follow the chaos god Nurgle. Unlike those other great Frays, however, they don't do it for personal power or dominance. They do it because they see themselves as martyrs. By sacrificing their bodies, they can spread disease across the realms, eroding reality, and allowing the forest to return once again. When they are in combat, they practically throw themselves at the enemy, for they know even if they fall, their wounds will splash their foes with entropic deluge that will melt them into a goopy mass of sick and taint the land below. One famous herd is the Manglegut Rotfrey of Gur. They were led to follow Nurgle by a particularly charismatic alpha beastman called Slogtooth. Through his passionate guidance, they all defecated over their herd stone and began flagellating themselves, hoping the resulting wounds would fester into diseased sores worthy of their new god. Slogtooth's rampage across Gur continued until he was eventually killed by a Frost Lord of the Beastclaw Raiders. I like to imagine the ogre was elated at his victory, an emotion that quickly turned into horror as the beastman's innards spewed over him and his fellows, turning them into rotten effigies. Those beastmen close enough to be covered themselves had their bodies enhanced with even more disgusting gifts. They have been spreading their rotten power ever since.
The Greatfrays.
I thought the worst I would see was the attack and the slaughter of the citizens, but what they did after that still makes me want to throw up to this day. Beastmen, by their very nature, despise anything created by civilization, whether that be cities, statues, or anything that signifies permanence. The Beastmen followers of Slaanesh, the Greatfrays, share this disgust, but also feel envy. This envy builds up until they attack the nearest city in a covetous fury. The city destroyed, they melt down the gold and silver to cover their horns and hooves, and adorn pretty baubles across their fur. Like the aftermath of a powerful drug, the Greatfrays return to their senses and immediately begin to feel shame at their actions, disgusted that they covered themselves in the things they are supposed to hate, until they hear their decadent god calling them to once again cover themselves in excess of the cities they are supposed to despise. In the lands of Akshai, the Greatfrays known as the Grave Kin have performed acts so vile and decadent that they have attracted the attention of demonites, the demons believing that beastmen so depraved must be somehow on the path towards their missing god. I must admit, Javrel, you are quite knowledgeable. Obviously your chieftain sent me their most experienced guide. No, what I know is common knowledge among my people. I was chosen for another reason. What reason would that be? Out of all my people, I am the one most likely to not cause a misunderstanding. Before Leonard could ask what he meant, he suddenly noticed that Javral's left pant leg had ridden up slightly, exposing the flesh of his leg. What Leonard had previously thought was a particularly thick sock, strange in this hot weather, was actually fur. Fur, Leonard realized, that was growing out of Javral's skin. Is everything alright, Leonard? Javral asked with an almost too wide smile. Quite, yes, Leonard said quickly. Everything is fine, great, perfect. Oh, look at the moon, probably should get some sleep. Good night. Indeed, sleep well. Do not worry. I will be watching. The disturbing smile still in his mind, Leonard slowly lay himself on his cot and closed his eyes, praying to Sigmar that he will wake up the next day in one piece. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about the Greatfrays of the Beastmen. If you like it, please like, subscribe, comment, press a little bell button so that you know whenever I post. And if you're inclined, please give a little money to my Patreon. The extra money gives me the time I need to work on these stories I love. Anyway, thanks for listening. Check out one of the links to the side from some of my other videos, and see you later.